Okay, here's a question I want to ask after I preached it. This is a rhetorical question at this point, but after the sermon, I want it to be a legitimate question. And that is, how did we get here? And when I mean that, what I mean by that rather is in the sense that, we went from apes, right? To essentially completely hairless. And what happened after we went hairless in overnight? How did that happen? We got coats and we skinned animals and made ourselves coats. It doesn't seem, in terms of the whole evolution thing, it's pretty obvious that evolution happened. But I don't get it. There just seems to be too many questions. And my evaluation of the whole scenario is that people are very, very intellectually brilliant at times, but emotionally they're not. So they keep on finding this incredible information, and they have it in this box, and in terms of superimposing it upon their emotional intelligence box, it just simply doesn't happen because they don't have one. I think the biggest problem in our world actually is the lack of emotional intelligence. And I think if people did have emotional intelligence, besides thinking the whole concept is a joke, we'd have a completely different situation. How did it happen? What's going on? Well, the bottom line is nobody knows. However, we do know this. Some people in this world fit in. Now, I have a whole theology and a psychology based on this concept, but for now, it's just this simple. Some people in this world fit in to this world, and some people don't. Does that make sense? And unfortunately, I made this evaluation, I made this assessment, and the assessment is as follows. Almost every time, the people who don't are better people. You can go anywhere to any continent. I've traveled quite a bit, fairly extensively, and one thing that's consistent no matter where you go on this planet is that the more beautiful an individual is, the more fucked up and weird they are. Dynamics. How does this happen? God places us all here through His own mercy, His goodness, and His kindness. God said one day, many, many years ago, or maybe we just came here yesterday, maybe the whole thing, everything just happened yesterday. It started yesterday, and all this shit's been implanted. Everything, the last 6 billion years. Do I believe this? No, I don't. But who in the fuck knows is my point, okay? I'm not trying to subscribe to any new little idiom here. I'm just saying, who in the fuck knows how this happened? We do know, I assume we're all on this page, we do believe in God, and God created this mess for some particular reason or another. Anybody have any objections to that? No? Good. It's pretty obvious. I understand why people argue about the nature of God, okay? And I understand why they'd argue, is He a nice guy or is He a bad guy? I get that. Is there a God? Maybe it's just me because I'm so goddamn stupid. But it just seems to me that if there's a creation, there's probably a creator. Anyway, God placed us here in His infinite wisdom. He was having a really good day and having a martini with maybe Moses and Abraham, who probably never existed, but they might have. So, did Abraham and Moses and these people exist? Did they? Did they? You're the theologian here. You think they existed? I'm the president of and founder of a denomination, but she's the theologian. They may or may not have existed. My suspicion is they probably did exist and had a life, and one story led to another, and the next thing you know, they're heroes. Just like me being the Antichrist. I'm not a bad guy. How I found myself in this position, God only knows, but here I am, and we got to make the best of it for the next 5 or 15 years or so. Then I'm out of this fucking place. And you can all kiss my ass. That includes you people out there. God placed us here in His infinite love and wisdom. Okay. Number 2. Some to love, some to carry on the tradition of pursuing the ancient human tradition of pursuing sex, money, and power. Okay, so you get that. Some of us are here to love, possibly completely different species. God only knows what's really going on. And some of us are here to pursue sex, money, and power. We got that? Makes sense, right? It's pretty obvious. You have a very few people out there pursuing love, and you have a copious amount, a cornucopium of people out there, whatever the fuck that is, pursuing sex, money, and power. There's really only 2 religions in this world. As I said last week, I believe, or the week before, everybody thinks, differently. In a sense, there's 7 billion religions. Because everybody, if you get them drunk enough, you'd be like, huh, you believe that? To hardcore fundamentalist Muslims who claim to be exactly the same, on the same page, get the right amount of alcohol in their system, and sooner or later they'll realize they do not believe the same thing. So, let's go through this again. God placed us here, some to love, some for the other religious purpose, sex, money, and power. Thirdly, most of the lovers learn to compromise and make it more comfortable, make life more comfortable. See, the thing about, the name of this sermon is Stranger in the Land. And my name, Strang, literally translated, means stranger in the land. That's what it means. And the thing about being a stranger in the land, or as it would say in the New Testament, God's chosen few, is it becomes very awkward and uncomfortable at times being a stranger in the land. So Dave's not here tonight, okay? Because I was going to use him as an example. And because I always do that with Dave's here, because he has such a great attitude towards such things. He really does. But now there's a guy who's obviously a born lover, who's a beautiful spirit, and he kind of thinks, well, maybe if I pursued a different road, things would go a little bit easier for me. Is that fair? Yeah? Okay. Well, anyway, my point being here is being a stranger in the land, being somebody that is destined for nothing but to love, it really sticks out like a sore finger. I guess the expression is sore thumb on this planet. So people, what they do is they compromise, and now there's nothing wrong with keeping your mouth shut. But there's a saying about pretending you're somebody you're not to fit in. And I'm all for keeping my mouth shut most of the time. But when you pretend you're somebody you're not, you're going against your own integrity. You're going against your sense of who and what you are, yourself, your essence, and it's going to hurt you. Okay? We must be who we're created to be. We can only find freedom in who we are created to be. So let's go through this. Number 1, God placed us here. Number 2, some to love, some to carry on the ancient old tradition of pursuing sex, money, and power. Now, they're liars, right? But they're allowed to be liars, because that's the whole essence. If you're pursuing sex, money, and power, you are a liar, because these things don't even exist. They really don't. Nonetheless, once you're hanging out in the darkness, it really doesn't matter what you say anyway, does it? So number 2, as I just said, pursuit of love or sex, money, and power. Number 3, most of the lovers have a tendency to compromise because it makes life more comfortable. Number 4, people gravitate towards their kindred spirits, right? Or they would have if they realized this wasn't a fucking game. Okay? In other words, Dave, back to Dave, Dave should be here with us. He's our family. Okay? There are probably other people. And the thing is, when people don't embrace who they are and what they are, and they go in a different direction, the community, and I'm not talking about Sela, I'm talking about the world community. What I'm trying to say here is all lovers, all people who are authentic and real and want to nurture and be truly spiritual, there should be a connection all over the world. We should stick out. We should be right, I should be able to just turn on the internet and there you go. Okay? But being seen for who and what we are is so uncomfortable that it's most of us feel that they'd rather just carry on business as usual. And number 5, ultimately we return to the grave and it all sorts itself out. Okay? Now that's pretty obvious. When we die, everything's going to be sorted out. What I want to do basically is sort out things right now. I want to know who I am right now. I want to know who my brothers are right now. I want to know who my sisters are right now. I want to know not only in terms of Sela. When I say Dave should be here, maybe it's not Sela, maybe with 5 transvestites down the street or something like that. But people, lovers should all be connected. They shouldn't be fucking around pretending they're something they're not, because they're wasting their time. And we're only here, trust me, man, it just seems like yesterday I was 12. I'm almost 52. We're here for a very short fucking time. And if we do not connect with each other, we will never discover who we are. Because my identity is found in you. And your identity is found in me. Okay? By getting to know, by trusting, by developing community. And there's too many good people, too many lovers out there. And some of them are Muslim, some of them are Hindu, some of them are Jewish, some of them are transvestites, some of them are gay, some of them are straight, some of them might live on the bottom of the fucking ocean. I have no idea. But people everywhere who are born to love should be connected. It's like this connection, this light to the wall. If every 2 inches there was a cut in the wire, we would not experience the glow of the light. Right? Does that make sense? And so it is with true community, and so it is with people who are supposed to be born to love each other. Now we have everybody, you turn on that fucking thing, my God, man, everybody's lying to everybody about everything. But the truth will set you free, and intuitively we know what the truth is and who the truth is, but we got to open our mouths and we got to take actions. The bottom line is people just don't think this is serious business. Our eternity has at least something to do with what we do down here. I don't know how God's going to sort everything out. And the people who tell you how God's going to sort it out, we have wonderful images in the Old Testament. There are earthquakes and people on this side and people on that side. And we have all this very violent metaphors. My God isn't a violent God. I don't know how it's all going to be sorted out. But I do know my God is a loving God. That's why He's created me to love. He'd be the biggest fucking hypocrite ever if He said, okay, I'm creating you guys to love, but I'm going to torture those cocksuckers over there. That's really, really not nice. I have an issue with that kind of God. My God, maybe I have unresolved shit myself and I'm projecting that on people, that's very possible, but my God is a God of love. My God is a God of compassion. And what happens, and yeah, people are going to be sorted out. And maybe most people or some people aren't going to be happy with the whole dynamic. I don't know. But I know that God is a God of love. You know? My own theory, and this is just my theory, is the only thing that exists in the universe we refer to as heaven is it's built out of love. And the only thing that exists there is love. And the part of us that goes there is the part that was given over to love. So some people will be big and some people will be small. And some people will be God knows what. But we will be as big in there as we were loving here. Does that make sense? And even if that isn't completely correct, I'm sure it's on the right track. But I don't think, there is no fucking hell. You know, the whole metaphor, hell in the Bible, it's referring to a fire outside. Almost every time it's referred to in the Bible, it's referring to a fireplace outside Jerusalem where they burn shit. So things are going to get burned up. Now my life right now, I look at myself when I was a teenager, I look at myself now, what I see is things being consumed. Like selfishness and arrogance. Now, I know I have a long way to go, but shit I used to deal with profusely, I do not deal with now. Okay? And that's ties into the metaphor of hell that Jesus was giving us. In a very profound and poetic way. We lose ourselves to love. You know, the only thing we have in ourselves is what we give away. It's a really interesting concept. The whole universe that we live in is all a collection of paradoxes. And that's why I consider this universe is probably one of the lesser, it's probably a really cheap one. You know, he got on a sale or something. You know, because if you look closely, everything that's real is almost exactly the opposite of what's happening here. Okay? Now what I mean by that, for example, is he who saves a soul will lose it. Right? What does that mean? It means we are in the wrong fucking universe. The exact opposite of what's going on is what we're experiencing. You know, if this doesn't make you suspicious, what I'm learning slowly but surely is, yeah, there's a lot of brilliant minds out there, but everybody's looking through through their sin and their containers to see what's going on. And they don't see it because you can't see it. But my suspicion is everything is so obvious. And if my head wasn't up my ass, I could tell you about everything. I will guarantee you this, it's all simple. There's nothing complicated going on. And it all boils down to love and be loved. And sin is what hurts love. So don't do it. There's not a whole lot else going on in this universe. What we have is lovers pretending to be thieves and thieves pretending to be lovers. You know, if you're a bad guy in this world, well, they'll put you in jail if you're too bad. There is this moral code people have. And so if you're a bad person, you have to put on some type of code. And then there's the beautiful people, and they're trying to pretend that they just fit right in when they really don't. You know? Without transparency, how are we to find our people group? I mean, Dave is just, I'm picking on Dave tonight. He's so beautiful. He really is. You look in, he walks in, he glows. There's no guile in the guy, you know? He's a child. We all know that, and he knows that too. But you know what I mean? It's just like there's people out there that we need to connect with. And we cannot connect with our people group as long as we're living lives. We got to take a chance. This doesn't mean you got to go to work the next day and tell them all about your sexual appetites or whatever. It has nothing to do with that. You know, sometimes the best thing to do is shut up. Like Chris has really fucking learned Oh, work. Shut up. What's the definition of Chris's workplace? Shut up. And it works. But without transparency, we're destined to miss on the most beautiful gift that God has given us, and that's each other. We are here for no other real reason than to connect with each other. And it's a beautiful thing. And love will lead us. But we have something to do with it. Does that make sense? We have something to do. Love is a lot of things, but one thing love definitely, unequivocally is, love is a verb. Love is an action word. And we got to move our motherfucking asses in the right direction to connect, to be one, to have essentially a brotherhood, that will really, the thing is, if it ever gets really going, then you won't have to worry about people trying to infiltrate, because nobody wants to hang out with the people God wants to bring in. It's a brilliant disguise. Plus, if I'm there, I mean, who's going to want to be there? Ultimately, live love and see where it takes you. Amen.